One of the significant challenges we're faced with is that North Carolina has been on, for the last 5 years or so, we've been on this fantastic run. So we've seen a lot of major announcements happening all over the state. That continues. We had a really significant announcement this week in Wilson County, and this is not just, traditionally speaking, I would say if we were to look back over the last 20 years, we'd see a lot of growth in the Charlotte and Raleigh regions. We're still seeing growth there, but we're now seeing growth outside of that. The Piedmont Triad's been absolutely on fire, and now there's this bio-crescent area. So going from Chatham County, Lee, Harnett, all the way over into reaching over beyond Edgecombe into Pitt County now, that we're seeing life science companies pop up left and right. The good news is that we've got significant net immigration coming in. So folks who are moving to this state every day, those numbers continue to increase. Overall, I would say to the readers of Business NC that it is, compared to other states, we're in a very good position. States like Wisconsin and Minnesota have 0% population growth. And so in those situations, they're faced with much bigger challenges than we are. We're in a different situation. We've got to connect all those people who are moving here to the job opportunities that are available. And what we frequently hear is that people aren't aware of them. And so what we see is from the agencies that we work for, from the folks in the private sector, and from the businesses themselves, they're having to get much more creative about how they get the word out that these businesses are hiring.
Going to add on to that. I'm glad that you mentioned people that might be interested in this job. So transitional skills is a big piece of that. So during COVID, one of the big success stories we had was just happened to be Fidelity was announcing the expansion of their customer relations manager positions in Durham and Charlotte. And there was like 500 people. Well, meanwhile, all of the hospitality, food and beverage people were losing their jobs because all the hotels and restaurants were shutting down. Well, who knows customer service better than hospitality people, right? So we took a lot of those people and said, you can continue to work for $8 an hour plus tips, or we can put you into a job like this where there might be some short-term on-the-job training to come into this, but it's a professional career that you can grow up into. So looking at those transitional skills for any industry, healthcare, any, like you were saying, the HVAC people or food and beverage industry, those transitional skills are very important. And so one of the things that we'd like to do is find those people that are looking for any kind of a job. That's not always the case, but it's always good to just mention, hey, you've been in this. What do you think about this? Do you have interest in this? And then use some of those federal workforce programs to help the employer out with that wage reimbursement and the training reimbursement, whether it's on the job or incumbent worker training to upskill people.
I think the other thing that's changed is that the employers have started to focus more on, we hear this term all the time, whole person or complete person, and also around well-being and engagement, all those buzz terms in my industry. We have the acronyms, we have the buzz terms.
Right.
That's what we do. But it makes sense, that I think employers figured out that, gosh, we've got to get the right people in here to be successful as an organization. We got a great healthcare reputation, and we need the right people to keep our sterling healthcare reputation as a state at that benchmark. And without the right people, our businesses won't thrive. So we're seeing more investment in things like professional development, career pathing. A lot of applicants come replacing older, more seasoned individuals, and they don't have the skills that they need. So we're seeing employers needing to invest in programs to bring them up. A lot of times we have applicants that need additional training in order to be qualified for the jobs that maybe not they're applying for, but for the ones that we want them to have in the near future.
So one of the things that our industry does is look really far into the future. We are predicting not only for our own workforce, but for the patient population that we are anticipating next year, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, because we want to be able to build that capacity now We have such a long ramp up to make sure that we're meeting the needs of the population. We're carefully watching the shift in the demographic in North Carolina. In 2000, there were 5 working adults for every person over 65. And by 2030, there will be 2. And that's not a good projection for any industry. It's especially bad for ours because we know that that over 65 population has a higher propensity for needing health care. So that's our services, and we need to be able to have the right workforce to support them. The way that we've designed care is not going to work out in our favor if we don't figure out good ways to innovate how healthcare is delivered and also attract disproportionately folks to our trade.
Yeah.
And I think we're at an inflection point in our country about the nature of work and what work means to us and why we work and what we do. And I think it's important for us as any industry, whether it's the state or private industry in one form or another, to help give people that reason to work.